Hi, in this video we're going to talk about how to render your local deforming object with the depicted geometry. So let's first open our example, the Deform deforming flag. And you can see that this is kind of an enclosed flag which they blown by the wind and controlled by the enclosed solver. Please notice that this is kind of a local deforming object, something like the jellyfish or this kind of flag. It will not interact with the main body, and also it can be skinned onto the main bone, such as like this. We can move that around, and in this case we can bake this geometry and skin that geometry back to the main body and render that with our deforming the geometry flag. So let's do that. Firstly, let me bake this into the limbic cache. Here's the pipeline cache. This is here, export selection to the limbic. So you can see that we are going to use the time slider and the evaluate every frame. Let's do that. You can also enable the UV write so that it can write back the UV and support the texture mapping. Let's export selection, and let's export our project to the flag test and export selection. And of course you can export this several times if this the shape can be randomized. For example, let's export this twice with a less wind. For example, this is wind, and let's change that to 100, and less the turbulence 100, and export that again. Export selection to limbic and flag test. Let's rename this to the 1, and let's rename this to the 2. Let's export the new cache to the version 2 export. Okay, and at this time you have the two exported the geometries, the cache to the disk, and then you can delete this, and also you can delete this the nuclear system and the fields. Okay, and import that back, import limbic, import, and import the second version. You can see that there are the flags here. So we are going to render it. The first step is we needed to create our origin agent and skin both of the deforming object to the origin agent instead of the rig. So let me create the origin agent for that. Let's click this Miami ready, and I'll put this joint to the setup folder and create the origin agent from this setup. We can also change the name of that to the flag, like this. So the good naming convention is very good. And create origin agent. You can see that a simple origin agent has been created. And let's just hide the setup flag, and then let's select the flagpole and these geometry and put them into the geometry folder, and then let's just skin all of them onto the origin agent. Please notice that we already skinned the flagpole onto the original setup. We can just detach the skin from the origin setup and select all of them, and select the origin agent bone and skin bind, smooth bind, and bind all of the geometries to the origin agent, so that you can see that when we move that around, everything follows, and playback the simulation. The simulation will happen in the origin agent. So this is a kind of a local mode of the origin agent and the deforming object. Let's resume back to 0, and we're going to try to render it. Let's render it with our Arnold. The first, the most important thing is we need to mark these two objects to the deforming object. So here in the render, the mark deforming geometry at the deforming adder. You can see that when you select any one of them, there's a deforming, the flags has been added here and enabled it. So our system will treat these two objects as the deforming object, and when you render it, it will render the frames to the specific frame and to the specific shape. So let's do that with our Arnold. Let's set up the Arnold render options. The export folder, we can set E drive, ABC, AR test, and flag. And this is a procedural DSO. You need to fill that based on the Arnold version. For example, here we are using the Arnold, the 1.2. So we're going to find it. The program file, the base font. The base font installation place 1.2, and copy and paste the folder directly to this field, and click the set up current frame. Oh, we need to create our agents. Let's create the place, create some of agents, and make them bigger and just long distance like this. Okay, and make them orientation randomly, something like this, and place our agents and export this 60 frame. Because there's no movement on this agent and no logic, we can directly export the render content without making the agent cache. So let's do that. And here, render the Arnold. Let's tear this off and put right here and set up current frame. And maybe this directory is not existed. Let's just create it. E drive, ABC, and here let's create an AR test and export that again. Okay, and this has been created. Let's create an Arnold stand-in and fill the content. Create a stand-in and click Control A and fill the contents here. Just copy and paste, and the flag AS stand-in 60, and specify the frame to 60 and disable this. Let's create a light, directional light. Let's get this up and render it. So this should be an Arnold thing. We needed to switch to the Arnold render, and let's render it out. You can see that your flags has been rendered out with the specific shape. If we disable that flag and the deforming flag to the deforming object, it will cause the problem. But you can see that there's something incorrect because the randomized geometry has been not set. Let's just deplace our agents and the create group for them. Control G and the random flag, so that it can pick one of the flag from this group. So just remember, previously we mentioned that the outside directly on the geometry will be definitely rendered, and for the subnode in the first group, it will choose one of them and render it. So let's do that again. We needed to re-export render, and we need to re-export set up current frame. Oh, '60 and re-export and render again. You can see that this is a little bit problem because the two flags has been rendered out at the both times. Let's render that again. And at this time, you can see that only one of the flags from the two has been rendered randomly, and the deformation is good. And also, you can export this as the scene sequence, and frame by frame, and link the time node to the stand-in for render any frame of that. And that is done. And let's select the stand-in and click this the Arnold stand-in shape and click select. And in our window, the connection editor and load the right. And here we need to the change to select by 9 and this time 1, and connect load left. Connected out time to the frame number here. And at this time, you can see that the bounding box is changing for each one of the frame because the shape is actually changing. So let's render the 90th frame to render this out. So you can see that the shape is different. The light is relatively dark. Let's increase the light intensity to about full. Please see that this is the 90th frame. And let's switch to 52 and render that again. You can see that the shape will be totally different. So this is the process of how to render the local deforming object inside of your scene. You can use this to render this kind of a steel flag, or a simple moving object, or something like the jellyfish. So this will be very useful. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.